Hello, I'm Spencer Durger, and I want to inform the audience of the good about large animal confinements and why no one needs to worry about confinements and the animals themselves. And all I have to say is that I've worked in an animal confinement for 2 years now, and all I need to say is that there's no worry about anything that we do is harmful to the animals. And I know that people have different opinions about these animal confinements. I've worked there for 2 years, and all I have to say is that it's not as bad as people think it is. And those are just people's opinions, and yes, we can follow those opinions, but what is anybody going to do? Exactly. Animal confinements have been around for some time now, and people have speculated if they could be safe or if they could be harmful to us and the animals themselves. Today, I want to share how confinements can be good in a sense and how people do not need to worry about the harm it can cause. Confinements are places where animals are stored in a sense and are held there for breeding, farrowing, and rotations from one place to the other. From my research, it is hard to see any information on the good side of confinements, and just because people can be so against them. And there are so many different types of animal confinements. There are hog confinements, cow confinements, and chicken confinements. And also, I've seen people say that there are technically horse confinements, but in this case, they're not as severe and as like the same level as what these confinements are. And they're not as bad as people express confinements to be. And from my experience, I can express that. And have you ever seen inside of an animal confinement? If not, all I have to say is that it's a lot better than people make it. And if we do not have confinements, our food production would be limited. Seriously, confinements provide like the biggest amount of food. It's where we breed the animals, where we continue the growth of our production to provide food for our community. And people see disgrace with animal confinements and has taken over what people maybe want to see themselves. Can we trust anyone's opinions though? I know. We can if we want, and yes, there are facts of chemicals that could harm the outside world, but there is more to the story than people can truly see. And people can see these places as if they're the devil, but why can we base something off a judgment? And we take so much precaution in these confinements, and we have all these animal welfare codes that we have to follow just so we don't get ourselves in trouble with getting hurting animals purposely, not accidentally. And there's a lot of safety, and safety is very, very important in these confinements because for us as workers and animals, we can injure ourselves and the animals can injure themselves too if we don't take the right precautions. It can be prevented with the right precautions though. The work is not safe for the people. That's from web.missouri.edu. And risks occur when you're breathing air from the rising manure pits. This is stuff that is what's bad about this. And there are risks when you breathe the air, but I know people that have been working in animal confinements for years upon years, and nothing's bad has happened to them as I know of. But and also the cost of money and lost wages and healthcare costs. There is a lot of money that does go into healthcare stuff because we have to protect ourselves, and if someone does get hurt, the company doesn't lose its own money. And confinements have high toxins from all these sources, and this is from Pickrell, one of my sources, and it can harm animals and the workers. Well, all I have to say is that these toxins are not really like toxins. It's just the animal's manure and the smell. Yeah, in high cases, it can be harmful to us workers because we're working it all the time. But for the animals, it doesn't harm them at all. It can cause respiratory disease in workers and the animals. That's from Pickrell also. And also it can cause from carbon monoxide, ammonia, and the indoor dust and feed particles. A lot of that stuff we do breathe in, and it can be harmful. There are facts of where we should be wearing masks in these places, but in a case, like I said, I've seen people work in these places for years, and nothing has happened to them and to harm them at all. And those are all the bad things I have heard. And like I've been saying, I know people have worked there for years and there's been no harm to them. They take care of themselves. That's the big thing. People have to take care of themselves in order to prevent all of these risks that can occur. The main thing for a worker in a high-risk job is their own safety. And also we have animal welfare codes that are in these confinements, and they're everywhere with the cattle, hog, and chicken confinements. And this is where most people could be right for animal welfare. People could say that we hurt the animals and we move them around in abusive ways. Well, billions of animals harmed annually are harmed annually and globally. That's from Factory Farming, one of my sources. And they are confined their whole lives in cages. They are working on ways to prevent the harm of animals And family farms are becoming smaller as they are the safest option for animals, which that is the case. That's why I say people are right. That family farms are the more safer option because they are out in the prairie, out in the field. And that's from Shepard, one of my sources. And people disagree with jam-packed confinements, and that's why I say people might be right. Is where the jam-packed ones, they might not be the safest option for the animals, but it's easiest for high efficiency production. And they could start eating organically and nor store-bought meat, is what people are saying. That when they hear about these confinements and what they can do to people, and they just don't want to eat that meat from the animal confinements. And I have some good things I want to say about production. Confinements are the biggest supplies for food. That is a true fact. And in the facilities, we do not treat them badly. There are cases of where we have to use more force to move them around, but in the case, we're not hurting them at all. They seem fine, they're always fine, and they act normally after we're done. And yes, they are confined. It is a process to supply food for the nation. And when they're confined, it is easier to make that production rise and keep it continually growing and growing to provide more food for our community. And our manure, that's a big concern for people. Our manure. People are thinking that stuff stinks, it's very high toxic, and it's bad for our environment. Well, it's pumped out of our farms into fields. We don't keep it in our farms. Well, obviously, because it could overflow, which that would be not good. Manure is a nutrient for the crops and help them grow, because when we release them into fields. We got to get the permission first, but farmers are usually going to say yes, and that's where we're going to put all of our manure when we are starting to get higher levels and we need to release it into the fields. And hogs confined and their waste confined is better. And that's from Shepard. That is a true fact from Shepard, one of my sources. Pointed out that it is better for manure to be confined than left in an open field with sows. In that case is because with the stuff in the open areas, it's left there, and the pigs are always walking in it. And with the confined areas, the manure gets released into a deep pit. It's probably like 20 feet deep at times, maybe about 5 feet at smaller areas, and it's way safer for the animals, and it helps with their own health. And in conclusion, confinements are not as bad as people think they are. With my points discussed earlier, I showed that things are not as bad. Safety is a huge thing in high-risk facilities, and we take precaution to make sure our work environment is no harm to the animals or us. And animal welfare is a big thing. I'm telling you, this is the thing we have to follow all the time, or we can get in trouble. We have people come check our farms monthly, weekly. We have vets that come in and check the animals for make sure there's no disease going around, because if we have disease in the farm, it kills our product. And I believe that confinements can help out with supplying food everywhere. Also, we do not treat the animals badly or with harm. We have to make sure that they are healthy in order to produce the best product for our consumers, and it is handled in a manner of where it helps outside in the facilities too, with our waste and releasing our manure. And people see disgrace with animal confinements and has taken over what others may want to see themselves. But can we trust anyone's opinion? Well, we can if we want. And yes, there are facts of chemicals that could harm the outside world. But like I said earlier, our chemicals, our manure, is released safely into fields for the farmer's satisfaction. And if you haven't seen inside an actual animal confinement, if you have a chance to do it, there are places of where you can probably go out, like for newer areas, and you could go check it out yourself. They're not as bad. They might seem jam-packed confinements of why people might not like them, but in a case, our work is providing great product for everybody, and we have to treat our animals great. We can't harm them in order to do that. And this topic helps everyone understand that their food is treated amazing before it is taken to the next step of providing amazing products to our consumers. And if you guys have other opinions on this, I understand. I've worked in this place for 2 years, and I am providing my greatest good facts on this, and I hope everybody enjoyed. Thank you.